Hello, this is Real History with Melissa, and today is the 12th of June, 2025, and I am joined for the first time in several months by Neil Foster. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. Bit tired, but I think we spoke last month, didn't we?
Did we?
I think we did.
No, I think I blew
No,
you. I made a mistake and got so busy, and then
I
that's
can't
my
remember.
recollection.
I can't remember. Must be old
Yeah.
age.
Yeah, well, no, we're just busy lives. But
Yep.
you said before I hit the record button that you'd had a very busy but tiring weekend, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's with the jewelry.
yeah.
Well, so how was the weather for all that hard
Oh, it's
work?
okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I got a bit of rain on one of the days, but it wasn't too bad.
wasn't
But
a rain out.
as soon as you get a bit of rain, people stop coming out. So.
Uh,
But anyway, it was all right.
well, I was delayed recording with Neil this morning because I had the rainstorm of all storms. I mean, literally the
Climate
thunder.
change must be global warming.
Yes, that's it. I think that's it. It's just crazy weather, and I had a power outage, and I had to reboot everything. And you
It's
have the
hot here.
computer. Yeah, it's all on backup, and then nothing works. And
It's very hot here. It was last weekend, I think. There's a guy beside me at the same market I go to once a month, and he's a techie guy, and he sells like dips and stuff for rubs for barbecues and all that kind of thing. And it's a family business, and he's got a temperature monitor inside his tent. It was 105.4 degrees inside his tent in the shade.
oh my goodness.
So it was 105.4 degrees inside my tent as well.
Oh,
That's what fans are for.
yeah, oh, that's really hot. So, how do you power the fan and so forth at
It's
these
a, it's
events?
a, it's a, it's one of
Battery
these,
operated?
yeah, it's a battery thing. I mean, they
Uh,
last for like, I've used them, I've used my fans for 3 days in a row. They're still at 40%. So they're pretty good. I mean, $60 each, but they should be.
yeah.
But they've got lights and everything on them as well, which helps. So
Well, that's not too
yeah,
bad.
I'm,
That's
I'm,
not
I'm
bad.
kind of, I'm all kitted up now. So my first year, I've bought all the equipment I really need. So yeah, I should be all right.
That's good. So, well, you were describing to me how much you worked to
Yeah, it's a lot of
how,
driving. I did about
yeah.
400 miles as well. So
Wow.
between all them. But yeah, I didn't have a local market this Sunday, so I had to go a bit further afield, kind of an hour and a half away. But it was
Uh,
worth doing. It was
what
more towards the coast, so there was it was strange because they were buying different things. I had a couple of things there that I'd sold a few of them, but I had three left that I'd had for like 6 months, and I sold two yesterday. So you just never know what people are going to buy.
Well, just kind of curious, what did they buy? What was it on the coast that they bought that they don't buy
More
inland?
more kind of sea life stuff.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So yeah, and different kind of people.
Uh-huh.
That more city slickers than country people.
Yeah. Yeah. People who can
And
afford the
yeah,
people who
very
can
very
afford the
posh.
coast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was set in a mall, very posh shops and all that kind of.
Yeah. What was the area?
Wesley Chapel
Okay.
was
Yeah.
close to
Interesting.
Tampa.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, we can just dive in. We can talk about anything that you want to. Just out of curiosity, on the personal front, I'm assuming that you don't really have time to garden this year because you've been so busy with the.
Well, I've got well, I bit the bullet and just bought some plants because I didn't have much luck trying to get them growing. So I
Mm,
put some peppers and well, I've got some tomatoes growing and I planted the pigeon peas again. I ripped all the old ones up. They'd done their 3 years, so I pulled all them up and put new ones in.
mm,
So I've got them going. So yeah, I'll try and get some. I've got some cucumbers planted, so we'll see what happens.
that sounds good. That sounds
Yeah,
good. And
got to
then
get something
the
going.
chickens,
Chickens are
still
fine. Chickens are
good.
chickens.
Yeah.
They don't take much mind in.
Yeah.
I've got a broody one just now. She's been sitting on wooden eggs for like 2 weeks now. So I'm trying. I've had last year I put these $1 ice things you can get from Walmart. You put them in the freezer and they'll freeze. It's supposed to change the hormones in the chicken that stops it wanting to sit on eggs all day. But
Uh,
this one's stubborn.
so
It's a
this
red
is
one. It's stubborn. It's red haired. You know what they're like.
that's what I do. I sit on eggs.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
That's
still trying to
funny.
get off them, but because it affects their feathers and everything. They get all sweaty and they don't eat much. They can actually die from it if they do it too long. So but
Really?
yeah, every night I go and put them away. I've got to drag her out of the box and put her in the coop.
Wow.
And then she
Well,
pecks me while I'm doing it.
that's very interesting.
Hello, hey, I'm the government. I'm here to help. Stop
Yeah.
pecking me. Yeah. She doesn't trust the government neither.
Uh,
So anyway, I think we did talk last week because we talked about the bodyoids. Remember?
okay, it's all right. Okay, so let's just say we're both getting old.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we are.
Well,
Let's not just say it. We are.
let's accept it.
Yeah, accept it. Yeah. I was just as a like a kind of segue into the start of this one. I just sent you a link there. Alert everyone in Ireland to be considered organ donors under new laws.
Hmm.
So we discussed organ donors. Where are all these people that need these transplants? It
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense. They're always wanting more and more and more organs, but for who exactly? I mean, what are they doing with them? Uh, but yeah, and one of the key it's a new law they're bringing in Ireland. New government legislation has made changes to organ donating in Ireland that will come into effect on 17th of June 2025. One of the key changes to come into effect will be that when you turn 18 years old, you automatically agree to become an organ donor if you die, unless you opt out. Curious, it's only when you die. I wonder when that will change.
Hmm. Hmm.
The Human Tissue Act 2024 includes provisions around donation and transplantation of organs, tissues, and cells. Presumably, they're solid organs. Remember we had that last time.
Hmm.
Post mortem practice and procedures, anatomical examination, and public display of bodies after death. Remember the exhibition years ago, Bodies?
Hmm.
It sounds like they want to use your body and put it on display somewhere.
I mean, this is really just, it's,
It's
oof.
grotesque.
Yeah, it really is.
We're getting to Edward Allan Poe territory here.
Hmm.
Sorry, you were going
You,
to say something? Yeah. Well,
well, I don't know if Alan ever spoke to you about this, but he had kind of a friend or a listener that he talked to on a regular basis who was a heart surgeon. He was a transplant surgeon. He really was focused, highly specialized on that. And oh boy, he told Alan some pretty mind-blowing things about the organ transplant business. But one of the several things here that are kind of interesting, he said that, and this was pre the big C operation. He said that young people now that they were much less likely to have a viable heart for transplant in the last, and this would have been probably, well, sometime 2016 or 18 when he told Alan this. So he said for about the last decade, it's harder and harder to get a viable heart. So that makes you wonder. He said it's just not in good shape. He said the heart is already showing signs of aging. That he said they ideally now they're dropping down to wanting the transplants to be under the age of 20. So
but well, if you go way back, what's all this abortion about? Are they taking the hearts out of the babies and then growing them somewhere?
yeah, that's, I mean, and another thing that he told Alan, and I've read this, I know this to be true, is that they really don't want you to be dead when they take the organ.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the best organs, the most viable organs are when they're taken from a live subject
Yeah. So,
or object, as you see.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got some interesting definitions of brain death, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty of cases of people waking up when they've been cut open.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
imagine that.
Ugh.
What you doing? It's like the Monty Python film, isn't it? When they come into the house and say, "I want your kidney." That one. Alan mentioned it a few times.
Yes, it's
I can't remember the name of the movie, but yeah. Oh, how about we take yours as well? Oh, okay. You know, but yeah, it's grotesque. I remember I was in Budapest just on a weekend trip from Bulgaria, and that bodies exhibition was on there, and there was a queue about 100 yards long, waiting to get in, and mainly young people. And I thought, what's wrong with you people? And they
uh,
had all the posters outside on the building, all these skinless bodies
uh,
on public display on the street, and you think there's just children walking past here.
yeah.
One, Mommy, what's that about? Oh, it's only a skinless body. It's not what about. It might. I can see the day when these so-called celebrities die and they're skinned and they're put on display and saying, "Oh, look, this is Britney Spears without her skin. Look at that, isn't she lovely?" I mean, maybe you can buy a piece of her skin and put it in a piece of jewelry. Who knows?
It'll be, I mean, it's not that far out of an idea because, even now I remember, I think it was John Wayne when they used likeness, they repurposed film clips
Mm.
for commercials. And there was just such outrage, what did the estate say? Why were they doing this and so forth? But you can see it now. Of course, well, they consented. See, it's right here in the will.
Yeah.
And you will be able to publicly display my body after death. Ah,
Well, here it goes on. It goes on saying, crucially, it embeds in legislation the idea that consent is a defining principle across all these sensitive areas. Yeah, do you think an 18-year-old is going to even think about this?
yeah.
They won't even know about it. I'm sure they don't even know this is coming into being.
Hmm.
And they won't be opting out of this. And then suddenly, little Johnny will be, I don't know, out doing dope or something or crack or whatever and die. And then the parents are going to bury him and they go, oh, no, 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 no. He's donated his body to science. You can't have the body, you
Mm.
know. Anyway, on 17th June 2025, the first phase of changes under this legislation are being brought into operation. Into operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take your heart. These deal with the donation and transplantation of organs, tissues, and cells. It's
Hmm.
taking cells from that. That's like what, stem cells? Well,
Hmm.
who are they taking them from?
Yeah.
Babies? Got to
Yeah.
be in it. Babies or pregnant mothers. Key features coming into effect from 17th of June. A soft opt-out system of consent for organ donation for individuals aged 18 and over. The concept of a designated family member, i.e. the person to be consulted prior to donation of organs and tissues from deceased persons. Well, if the person's not opted out, they've consented, so I don't see how anybody else can object. A way for people who wish to make a living donation of there you go, a living donation of a kidney to someone they don't personally know, also known as non-directed altruistic donation. I don't think I'll be rushing in to donate a kidney to somebody I don't know. Um, they never tell you what happens to these people who are left with one kidney, do they?
Mm-mm.
You never hear about them. They're probably a year down the line, they need a kidney transplant to
Mm.
replace the one they gave away. I mean, there's a reason you've got two. Um, it's not because you only need one.
Yeah.
Uh, mind you, they'll be solid kidneys, so they might be all right. If you're 18 or over, you will be considered to have agreed to be an organ donor when you die, unless you opt out or are in one of the excluded groups. Now, it doesn't tell you what the excluded groups are here. This change only applies to organs referred to as relevant organs under the legislation. Relevant organs doesn't tell you what they are either. So that's the
Yeah.
end of that. That's the end of the article. So we're not getting told what an excluded group is, and we're not getting told what a relevant organ is. So
Wow.
um, I guess it's maybe organs have only told the public they can transplant. Maybe the irrelevant organs are ones we've not quite perfected transplantation techniques for yet. But
Uh,
I don't see that as being a thing either. I think they can do anything they want with these things, and they're not for transplantation anyway. They're doing testing on them stuff.
nah, nah.
As I say, there can't be that many people needing transplants, and if they are, why there's no public outcry about? Well, why is there a million people needing transplants all of a sudden?
Yeah.
They never needed them before. We didn't have this 50 years ago, you
No,
know.
no, we didn't. We didn't.
And
Well,
can you imagine the amount of young people who got they're not going to have any viable organs.
no. Well, there are a few. I mean, the first like fictional thing, if you really want to think about it, all of the things that might be going on, and the very first piece of fiction you should look at is Coma, the
Mm-hmm.
novel and movie. I watched Coma with Alan, and he said, you know, that do not think this is straight fiction.
No.
This is, and then they probably about a decade or so ago they had a couple of Repo Men horrors. Oh, I think one was just called Repo Men, and the other one was Repo Men, like the opera, which is pretty grisly, and I'm not recommending that one.
I
But
remember
the
the title, but I never saw it.
yeah, well, the first one I mentioned, I think it had a pretty well-known actor in it. It might have been Jude Law and somebody else. But what's interesting about that one is that it's just the kind of world that we're really in if people look around, which is it's futuristic. People can't afford anything. There's a real hard divide between the haves and the have-nots. And so what's happening is people will sell an organ in order to pay a bill.
I think
And
that's
you
a big
could,
thing in the Far East or Middle East. They're selling
yeah,
it to so they can secure their family's future.
that's right. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
The farmers in India, particularly, I think they're doing that because of the Monsanto thing, and they're all going bankrupt. And
yeah,
the suicide thing and all that. And they think,
yeah,
oh, okay, well, if I'm going to commit suicide, if I'm going, you can euthanize me, but all my organs are for sale, and all the money goes to my family. Thanks very
oh,
much.
oh, Neil, what a world.
Yeah, I think the other one was Jude Law not in Gattaca as well,
Yes,
and
yes.
It wasn't Jude Law that was in Children of Men. No, it wasn't. That's somebody else.
No, that was,
I can't remember his name. I can't remember.
uh,
I know his face.
yeah.
But yeah, Gattaca was another one. That was about stem cells and things, wasn't it?
Hmm.
And cloning.
Well, Gattaca was about genetics.
Yeah.
It was about anything that you needed to do. You could think CRISPR technology or anything that you
Mhm.
needed to do to create classes of people based on eugenics.
Yeah, and
So,
they had a clone made, and they could use that clone to take like stem cells or organs from. I think,
I don't remember the details of the movie that much, but I mean that absolutely
but they
could have
wanted to
been
live
part of it.
forever. They wanted to live forever. That was it,
Yeah.
like gods.
Yeah.
But they didn't seem to have much of a life. They just lived in this luxury apartment.
Yeah,
Didn't go out
that's
much.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
What a life. Yeah.
Another interesting thing there too, you get all these little clues about the agenda because the pinnacle of aspiration for these drones who worked at a boring office job with their perfect genes was to go to space.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was who could survive the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I
Yeah.
think, the main thing as I recall, it's been years since I saw it, but you've got this character who wants to go to space more than anything, but he's not it's like the military. Remember the military if you had flat feet or something like
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
yeah,
So it's that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's it's like I think I heard you mention it previously. We've discussed it previously. These people are actually living in a prison. The people who think they're on the world or
Hmm.
who do they're living in a prison, and that's why they want to get off it. But then, if they get off it, they'll just be living by their own kind, and they'll be killing each other off.
That's it.
So let them do it. Let them
Yeah,
go.
that's
Yeah,
it.
come on, Elon. Come on, get that rocket up there, and hopefully it blows up before it gets anywhere. But yeah, send them all off. We don't want them here.
Yeah, I was seeing if I could find that. And there was a quote here that somebody had put up on the book club Telegram, but I'm not finding it, which was it was an Alan Watt quote up about exactly that system. So it was I do recall that it was from August 31, 2004. I'm gonna actually see if I can find it on a transcript here because it's worth, I think you've just brought up a really good point, and it's worth bringing it up here. So I'm going to find it here. And because Alan really, he just lays out here what he thinks is going on.
Of course, the fact that they live in a prison will be our fault,
Yeah.
because they're having to be benevolent and stay here and look after us.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
look after they've got to manage their herd, so they can't kind of run away just yet.
Okay,
And
so this is what this is a conversation that Alan is having with Jackie Petru. It's August 31, 2004, and you can find this transcript or the audio at cuttingthroughthematrix.com. And Alan said, just speaking of, we were talking about what they let out in fiction, and Alan said they put a certain spin on things since they write most of the histories. They will also let certain truths out, but with a different spin on it. That's the reasons for the wherefores or whatever to themselves. However, the fact is, they are always terrified during the grand finale, as they call it, where they build their towers of Babel, and whether the one, which is the tower, or the UN, which is French for the one, it's all the same thing. It's a boast of their virility through the generations, and by that they also mean the spiritual virility they claim that they have through their own will power. They have planned the world for thousands of years and are now achieving that goal. And Jackie said, and their willpower is not stronger than ours. Alan said, it certainly isn't. In fact, for some reason or another, they have much less really real power, you might say. Jackie said, because they're misusing it, aren't they? And Alan said, now here's key. It's more than just that. You can achieve, quote, spiritual awareness, end quote, you might say, by yourself. If your soul is seeking it, you will achieve it. Or you can try and take the shortcut of the world, which is to join a Freemasonic society in one of its many thousands of names and try and get it by degrees, which is basically taking entities into you with each degree that you take. These entities, since they are the ones who were cast here in the first place, they are imprisoned here. So their prison is the world. Therefore, they have a certain amount of power within the world. Not total power, but they can't go beyond the world. That's what I would like to say. They are imprisoned. They cannot go beyond the world. That's why their boast is always to conquer space and rise higher than the Creator, because this world and its atmosphere is their prison. And that's a pretty important point there that Alan's making.
In terms of willpower, I mean, they're psychopathic, so they really have no control
Yeah,
over what they do.
yeah.
It's just instinctual to them. They just do it, and a lot, well, the low level psychopaths, particularly, they just go ahead and do things and get caught.
Well, the lower level, you could think of even, a serial killer or,
Mm-hmm.
and what they'll do, or a rapist or, your garden variety. What they do always when they're caught is blame the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she wanted it, or, that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
hear it over and over. I mean,
Well, there's a case in Scotland many years ago when I was young, and the judge, this lady was raped by 4 or 5 very rich people, very rich young men. And apparently, because she was wearing a short skirt or something, the judge actually said she must have been asking for it.
yeah, I remember you. I think you might have discussed that with
Yeah,
Alan,
there's a,
or
there's a,
yeah.
there's a great song about it by a band called Goodbye, Mr. Mackenzie, and it's a song about that case. It's very good, powerful lyrics. Maybe you
Yeah.
can include that since we're
Okay.
talking about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Raped 3 times by the boys from the pub. With the daytime jobs, you know they need to unwind. You know they need to unwind. Mother always said, be a good girl, don't push your luck, don't get too low cut, but it's a pushy world. It's a pushy world. So if you've got it, flaunt it, 'cause the cameras and bright lights, they all want it. In silence she sits with the scars on her wrist. She's never alone. Those laughing eyes make her clench her fist. They make her clench her fist. For the blood and the sperm still run down her leg like it did that night. And the silk on the pavement is still in her hair. It's still in her hair. So if you got it, want it, because the cameras and bright lights, they all want it. Her mind is scarred and her body torn. Her life is fear and very soon a scab is born. A scab is born. They acquitted the case, congratulations all around. And the judge and the barman say if it happened then she must have been asking for it. She was asking for it. So if you got it, flaunt it, because the cameras and bright lights, they'll want it. It said she must have been asking for it.
But yeah, I mean, the lower ones tend to get caught all the time because they have no control. In other words, no willpower over their actions. They just do something, and the consequences don't even occur to them that they're going to get caught.
And at this
because they think
level,
they're better.
yeah, at this level, see the other thing there too, to Alan's thinking that's important is not just that they're trapped here, but that they've taken on entities. And you know, he knew what he was speaking about. I'll say that. But they've taken on entities, and he's asked us the question quite a few times. If you're looking at a psychopath, you know, there's a lot of similarity between a
Or
psychopath
demonic
and
possession.
exactly.
Yeah.
And at
Well, I
this
mean,
level, you'd be talking about something like perfect possession, where, but it doesn't matter what level of
yeah,
possession.
whether people believe in evil entities or not, these people do, and
Yes.
they
Yeah.
believe, but they could even believe they're possessed,
Yeah.
even if they're not. They just act it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
it's
that's a good point. But at this higher level, that they're so good at deflecting and blaming the victim.
well, like you
It's
said, yeah, like you said, that they've been caught. They have
yeah.
been caught.
Yeah.
We know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
but hey, global warming is your fault, lads. We're
I
doing it for your benefit.
guess. Yeah.
You know, it's all your fault. It's not us multi-billionaires that have raped the planet and
Yeah.
destroyed the rainforest and poisoned the oceans and the water and the air. It's your fault for breathing
Yeah.
and using plastic bags. You know,
Yeah. It's
which we supplied.
yeah.
Everything they blame us for, that we're using too much stuff. Well, they gave us it.
Yeah.
They built the factories. They raped the planet of all the minerals and the metals and everything, and then did a big PR job and sold it all to us. But it's our fault for buying it.
Yeah. You know, there's an important point that Alan would make, which is he's got let's just say let's call them enemies. Alan would say, I've got two kinds of enemies here, and that is these people who plan and implement this down through time, and then all of the masses, everyone who goes along with it. And this is an important point to remember, because those of us who don't accept, don't go along, see it for what it is, or you know, want a different way, or you're seeking something else besides this garbage, we're stuck in the middle here, because you're talking about young people going to see corpses hanging on wires. They're the ones who are going to turn around and scream at you and grab you like a zombie here, because you know, you're polluting the earth. You're using plastic bags.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, the people who go along to look at such an exhibition, there's a job being done on them, because nobody in their right mind would really want to do that. I've no interest in going to see skinned corpses. Why would I want to do that?
No, I know.
And you know, and they pose them up as, you know, ballet dancers or whatever. It's mind blowing that people think that's entertaining. Why would they? Why would they think that? But I mean, if they're interested in anatomy and stuff like that, if you're a doctor, well, you get access to a real body and do that kind of thing. You get I've taken Paula to her doctor's appointment, and the doctor there's got a big folder thing. It's an oversized thing. It's probably, you know, 2 feet by a foot. And you can flip it over and see all the charts are all drawn out. There's no real photographs in it. It's all charts. It's showing you where all the arteries are and the bones and all this kind of thing, the muscles, everything. You can see it in a clear drawing. Now, if you're looking at one of these skinned bodies, you don't know what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
All you're seeing is a skinned body. Or some of those bodies, I believe, they were cut in half, weren't they?
Yeah.
So you could see the organs and stuff and all this kind of thing.
It's
But
like splayed open. It's disgusting.
But you don't know what you're looking at. It's just you're ghoulish if you're going to look at that. There's something wrong with you. I don't understand it. I mean, I walked past the posters. I thought that was bad enough. But the people standing outside ready to go in disgusted me even more.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. That's probably I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when that exhibition was going around. 15 years ago, maybe.
Well, it really is to the point that anything can be normalized, and this is what it's
Well, we're not far away from live executions in that case, are we?
no.
If people are interested in that kind of thing.
But I mean, you have to you walk yourself back. If we can believe what we're told, then hangings and the guillotine were forms of public
Yeah,
entertainment.
Red Soxes,
Yeah,
the
it's
Colosseum.
a
Yeah,
cautionary tale. But I mean, when people were martyred or thrown to the lion's den, or that this was a form of
yeah.
entertainment.
Well, it's like I think Alan mentioned it before as well. Rollerball, the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
The sport gets more and more violent to the point where people are getting killed,
Hmm.
and people cheer it on.
Yeah.
And that again, in that movie, it was interesting because it was the corporations that were in charge of the whole thing, and they were the guy was it Mike James Caan, I think, was
Yes.
the protagonist in that one,
Hmm.
and he went along with it to a certain extent, but he kind of started seeing how it was all going, and he was told he better do it or else he's out. That's it,
Yeah.
by the heads, the CEO of this corporation that was running this slaughter fest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're not far away from that either. Well, it's again, it's Hunger Games type of thing, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
that's similar thing. And I
I
mean,
mean,
if you look at the Hunger Games as this future event where people have got to go out and kill people to get their quota for the area of the planet they live on, or food and stuff like that. They've got to win that to get the extra food. It's if there are food shortages, then there'll be real Hunger Games. There'll be people killing each other for a loaf of bread
hmm
on the street.
hmm
Like I said before, if they put everything behind glass in the supermarket, there's going to be people waiting outside the supermarket to rob you
hmm
if you can't get in.
hmm
And there's your Hunger Games. It's not going to be entertaining,
Yeah.
you know. But there you go. You'll soon see, particularly here, with all the so-called liberals that come down and think guns are bad. You'll soon see a rush for everybody getting armed just to go to the store. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of getting that way. It's kind of getting that way already.
Oh, and there's something to remember here or consider. I think maybe I'm just saying let's consider this because there's a couple of ways of looking at, the concept here. Bertrand Russell said we can teach children anything. We can make them believe anything, that snow is black, etc., with enough of the right scientific indoctrination. And so we don't, we, when we discuss this, we don't want to be in the position of the psychopath who blames the victim, or to be going along to that point of view. But a question that Alan asked a variety of different ways is, what are we looking at here? And he would mention this creatures of instinct concept from the New Testament, that some people, he'd ask the question, is there soul? In other words, how long have we been in a system that's controlled by an ancient priesthood? Are there some people who are born that don't have a capacity to fully develop as human, and therefore to be appalled or repulsed at the idea of a corpse hanging on a wire? That there's something missing. There was always something missing. So sometimes if I'm looking at, oh no, look at what they're doing now. Look at how far, look at how degraded they are now. I want to remember we're not necessarily blaming the victim here who's had a number done on them. We may be looking at something altogether different. It's just a thought.
Well, I mean, they've certainly had a number done on them through television. basically,
But
in large part.
even taking that aside, because then what's the point of talking about it? They're just victims. It's very sad. It's very tragic. But is there something else here? Are you looking at? I mean,
Look at
this is
the incapacity, the incapacity to have empathy for what they're looking at.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was never there. You see what I mean?
yeah.
That was never there.
Well, I mean, if you're paying money to go and see this stuff, you've got no revulsion in you. You've got no compassion for. I mean, a lot of those bodies might not have been voluntarily given to science.
Mhm.
They could have been people picked off the street, homeless people. Or you don't know.
Well,
You don't know who they are.
we've certainly gotten this kind of idea about the Uyghurs and
Mhm.
how they've been used for organ harvesting by the Chinese. So,
Yeah, but
but I
the
mean, so
Chinese people.
well, I mean, we're always pointing at the other people and saying, see how bad they are, look what they're doing, but
Mhm.
we really have no idea what's going on, in our own country, in our own, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Well, it's.
absolutely could be harvesting organs from homeless people.
I'm sure there's nothing going on in China that's not going on here.
Hmm.
Then they're bringing in the whole social credit system from China, where they've tested it all. So
Yeah,
we're no different at all. Just a bit more secretive about it, maybe.
yeah.
Or I mean, who knows? Maybe there's documentaries in China showing American organ harvesting.
Yeah,
Maybe they've got that information.
yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? It's certainly in the in Palestine. It's a big deal. There's a lot of organ harvesting going on there. I think Israel's got the biggest skin storage facility in the world, and that didn't come from Israelis.
No, I don't think I knew about that one.
Yeah, they've got the biggest skin storage facility in the world. Now, why would you need to store skin? For what purpose?
Mm,
Now,
I'm,
think about these bodies that have had the skin taken off them. If you can take it off a body, you can put it on a body.
oh, well,
So,
yeah.
going back to what we mentioned before about the bodyoids,
Hmm.
maybe they just need some skin for them to make them look real, or possibly for robots.
Mm.
Who knows? Who knows what I'm sure that skin that was cut off those bodies wasn't thrown in the trash.
Hmm.
It's got some other purpose. They don't these characters that do such things. It wasn't an artist that did the surgery. It wasn't an artist that preserved the body so they could cut it in half and still have it solid. That takes a level of expertise way beyond somebody who's into painting and machinery and technology, stuff like that. No artist, so-called artist, has got that kind of resources to do that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So somebody's approached that art, that I wouldn't call him an artist, a freak, and said, if you put your name to this, we'll bung you a few $1,000,000 or whatever, and because we want to put these bodies up and see if people are interested. And he's going, thanks very much, I'll take the money.
Hmm.
Just like the movie stars, same thing.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, who knows where we're going? I mean, I don't know where you go with that. It's grotesque. That's all you can say about it. I mean, I went into I'm sounding hypocritical here, but this was pure curiosity. They've got a place in Edinburgh called Surgeons Hall, and the public can go in, and they do have real organs and stuff in there, but it's all done in a kind of medical kind of. They're in the formaldehyde and stuff like that, and you can go and look. And we were taken there on a school trip.
Hmm.
Children, as well, not as young children. I think we're maybe 14, 15-year-old.
Hmm.
They're taken on a school trip there for the science class. Okay, there's some relevance to that. I mean, but a lot of the people in the class didn't want to go, or when they got there and saw what it was, they walked out.
Hmm.
But I was always curious about stuff, so I kind of looked at it all. I mean, some of it's quite horrific. They had like fetuses in jars and stuff like that.
Ah.
I think
Well,
it's still there.
this was a point, as Alan pointed out, of all of these medical shows where you were, I don't remember the names of any of them now, but you're,
Quincy was
well,
one.
you get go, yeah, it does. It goes way back, but you're seeing the autopsy, and you're seeing the incision into the skin. You're watching that,
Mhm.
and then so
It's
it's
always close up.
yeah,
Yeah,
always,
always close up.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's all for your good. It's all for the greater good.
yeah,
You don't see them hacking people open and pulling their heart out and saying,
yeah.
"Put that in a bag, take it to China." No.
But psychologically, it really works on you. I mean, this is the whole layout of it's more on British papers. I don't know how it is on other European papers or Latin American papers. It's not so much yet in the US where you have that juxtaposition of the half-dressed women on the right column, and then it could be anything. Somebody who's, a village that's been bombed and
Well, the
rubble.
tabloids you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the papers that are, so-called legitimate have a kind of a tabloid section in them,
Mhm.
you
Or
know,
or
so.
they or they also own a tabloid.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And people think because they've been trained they're not, because everything is at your level of society. So they don't know if they're getting their mail, I mean, if they're getting their news from the Daily Mail, they don't know that they're reading a tabloid because this has been presented to them. This is where they're going to get their political
Mhm.
news. It's where they're going to find their sports news, their international stuff. And then they're on the right column. They're supposed to be thinking about the plastic surgery that some TV star had, and does it look good? Does she look, blah, blah. And then over on the left side is the horrific story of whatever's happened. So they don't know. To them, this is legitimate news, but the end result is it's a kind of psychosis that's being created. And I think, like I said, you don't have that so much the tabloid papers in the US except for the ones that you get at the checkout
I
counter
was
at
I
the
was just going to
grocery.
bring that. I was just going to bring that up because
Yeah.
a lot of those things, I don't know why, it's that they focus on the royals quite a lot over here.
Yes.
Yeah, and you look at it, and it's a story about Harry or whatever it is,
Hmm.
and it's a true story, right? This that what you're seeing is true, but it's been spun. But the basis of the story is true, like
Hmm.
Harry wearing a Nazi uniform and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and because of his lineage, being of that kind of ilk, and people they stand at the checkout and they'll pick them up and have a look at them, and sometimes I'll say, do you know that there's a lot of truth in that story? And they say, it's just a scandal thing. It's just a,
Hmm.
it's just a tab. I don't know. They don't call them tabloids here. I don't know. I can't remember what they call them, but they don't believe it because it's in that thing. They won't believe
Right.
it because it's in there.
Right.
And the fact is, a lot of it is true. And that's the way they present it, so that people will
Hmm.
not believe it.
Hmm.
So when it comes up in a mainstream paper, they'll say, nah, I saw that in whatever trashy magazine with the Walmart checkout. That's not true.
It's just one of the many tools so that people aren't able to, decipher fact from fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really too young to understand Vietnam and how Vietnam was presented.
Mm-hmm.
But what I know from reading about it or looking back on it or talking to people who were adults during that time is that this was the first time that it brought this kind of horrifying depiction of war into people's living rooms while they were having their supper, their dinner on a TV tray in front of the television.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Well,
is,
the famous footage of the burning girl,
yeah,
the naked burning girl. Yeah,
yeah.
I was that's what struck me the first time I actually flew into America. I think I had to stop over in Chicago, and it went for breakfast or whatever it was, and the TVs were all there showing all this horror stuff that was in the news, and I'm thinking, what? why are people sitting here eating and watching that stuff?
Hmm.
You know, and I can't remember. It was like it was crime reports or something. The police had shot somebody or whatever it was, but they show you the body line in the street, and you think, what's wrong with this? This is not right.
Hmm.
You know, and you couldn't miss the TVs. They were everywhere. I tried to turn my back on them in every corner of the room. You just can't avoid it.
It creates a completely, oh, it's schizophrenic.
And you see people like they've got the fork halfway to their mouth and they're stopped and they're looking at the screen
uh-huh.
as if they can't eat and look at something at the same time.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It is. I mean, it's a, it's the creation of a kind of schizophrenia, which we now fully live under.
Yeah, I do.
It's
I,
amazing.
I do wonder what the snack bar was like in that exhibition of the bodies.
Do you?
I wonder what they were selling in there. You know, and how people could walk around there eating, well, you know, their blood-colored popcorn. You know, walking around. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look, I can see his liver. Oh, yum.
Uh,
Get that popcorn down you. But
yeah.
I'm sure they were selling snacks.
Oh, sure.
Finger food, I guess. Literally. No, it's just it's disgusting. I don't know. Will we move on?
Well, the sun dimming Quango
Well,
is
I think we discussed that before. I just looked at the
did
date
we?
there. It was the 8th of May. But maybe
Okay.
we didn't because I think we missed a few shows, so maybe we didn't.
Yeah.
But okay, let's go with that one. And then we'll come on to the stuff that's happening in my town.
Okay.
Right, the sun dimming. Sun dimming Quango has £800 million, this is in the UK, of taxpayer money to blow and a CEO on £450,000. I'm guessing that's a year, but who knows, it could be a month. Recently, this site reported that 50 million worth of taxpayer money was about to be approved to blot out the sun in the name of staving off global warming. I think that's the one we might have discussed before.
Hmm.
The Telegraph has more on developments and the eye-watering sums of money being directly allocated to ARIA to develop potentially irreversible interventions in the natural world, or to cause them, I guess. Isn't ARIA a rocket? Wasn't ARIA the European Union's space program or something? ARIA, I think it was. While also paying extravagant salaries. Plans to block sunlight to fight global warming have inadvertently shone a light on ARIA, the government's opaque research arm. The Advanced Research and Invention Agency was set. It sounds like DARPA, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Was set
Exactly.
up in 2021 by Kwasi Kwarteng, a good British name, the ex-Tory business secretary, and was originally the brainchild of Dominic Cummings. Well, we know what he's into. Boris Johnson's former chief aide. Yet few people on the street know what it is, what it does, or how much taxpayer cash is flowing into its well-financed coffers. Surely it has a shiny website stocked with techno waffle promising to help scientists reach for the edge of the possible and foster opportunity spaces. Opportunity spaces, that's obviously for big corporations to make a lot of money. But there has been little clarity on its day-to-day operations, and there'll be very little clarity if they block out the sun, won't there?
Yeah.
This week, we learned it will spend 50, well, as if they haven't been doing it already, will spend 56.8 million on 21 climate cooling projects, which include looking into the logistics of building a sunshade. And what's wrong with an umbrella? Why can't we just carry an umbrella? I saw people doing that yesterday. In space and injecting plumes of salt water into the sky to reflect sunlight away from the Earth. Well, we did discuss that before, because if you put salt water into the air, it's going to come down to the land and make farming virtually impossible. We're not trying to dim the sun, representatives from ARIA said rather disingenuously at a press briefing, knowing full well that should experiments prove successful, that is the ultimate aim. Well, they've been doing it. They've been doing it. It's evident if you just look up. Aircraft will release tiny reflecting particles, aerosols, into the stratosphere, reflecting sunlight back to space. Doesn't the sun cause it to rain through clouds? And then the cloud goes away? Is that not what happens? Well, how is it going to be reflected? It's not the clouds that are reflecting it, it's the particles, isn't it? Because these clouds aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
ships could spray sea salt into low clouds over the ocean to enhance their brightness and reflect sunlight back into space. Well, I was always under the impression that salt water was heavier than ordinary water.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how they're going to get it up there. It doesn't take long, unless from a ship. I mean, from an aircraft, obviously you can drop it from above, but I don't see how ships can spray that high enough into the air for it to stay there without it falling back down again.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take long to follow the gravy train. As tiresomely usual, it's the same old story of pigs in the trough. Professor Mike Hulme of Cambridge University pointed out the experiments were setting Britain on a slippery slope towards mass deployment of technologies that will be impossible to prove are safe, effective, and reversible until they are actually in the sky. And I think we mentioned before that they said that once they start this, they can't stop it because it could get worse if they do.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they ever do it?
Yeah. I just pulled up one that from the other day, June the 3rd. It's phys.org, 5 geoengineering trials the UK is funding to combat global warming.
Mm-hmm.
And this one says that the UK government recently announced plans to fund 5 small-scale trials related to geoengineering. It's the first time a state research funding body has put serious money into what's known as solar radiation management, or SRM. And they say it's highly controversial even among scientists. And it said, however, many consider the failure to control carbon emissions means not intervening in this way is an even crazier idea.
Again, it's all our fault.
Yes, exactly. And it says that there's actually 21 projects being funded by ARIA. And just to give you an idea of what they call this, so that we can, because this is huge, it's not just happening in the UK, it's happening in the US and everywhere. But one of the projects is called Arctic Refreezing. Yeah. So they're studying the feasibility of thickening Arctic sea ice by pumping seawater from below the ice on the surface where it freezes. The idea is to increase the extent and thickness of sea ice in winter so that it endures longer through the summer. Now, the whole thing is the whole thing is a scam.
Hold on. Why do they have to pump salt water into the ocean?
Yeah.
Where are they getting it? It's like one of those CO2 things.
Well, they're pumping it from they're pumping it from below. It says pumping seawater from below the ice onto the surface where it freezes. So now the one that we've heard a lot about it.
That means the sea levels are going to drop.
Yeah.
It's a
Damned
win-win,
if
right?
you do, damned if you don't.
It's a win-win. All those islands that they tell us have sunk will just suddenly be mountains.
Yeah.
And there'll be a problem because they'll be green. We can't have that. We can't have mountains. People might know stuff.
It goes on to talk about what stratospheric aerosol injection, which we've heard about for years. I think that was, but this is a new one on me. Marine cloud brightening. So this is seeking to make clouds over the ocean more reflective.
Whiter than white. Why don't they just use purple? Yeah, clouds aren't white enough. We can't have that. Yeah. Well, our problem from where I'm standing is the sky's not blue enough.
Yes.
Yeah. We have again. I don't know what the other was. It Daz with the soap powder was you get a bluey whiteness. That's what they're using for that, and then the white is Persil, right?
Yeah.
So just get Unilever in there, and that's it. We don't need to spend 800 million on it. Maybe they're involved already. Who knows? Chemical company.
Ah, mercy.
Yeah. So they're doing all this, and they don't know if it's safe and effective. Well, they told us, what was safe and effective. And it wasn't. And it's not reversible either. So they're just defying the laws of physics. Everything that goes up must come down.
Yeah.
Right? If they've got to physically put stuff up there that shouldn't be up there, it's going to come down.
Mm.
And that apart from killing off sunlight and causing storms and whatever other weather havoc that they've got in mind, they're going to destroy the land for growing stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
And win, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then they'll start saying, "Oh, food shortages. I wonder why. It must be you're eating too much, you folk. Even although there's less of you, you're dying off at an alarming rate, but you're still eating too much. We'll have to ration you.
Well,
They just can't lose, can they?
no,
I mean, it's.
not when it's
I
not when it's
guarantee you.
their
I guarantee you,
system.
none of these guys will be allowed in a casino.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as we mentioned earlier that like we know what they're doing, but they know there's very little we can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they control everything, and the thing that controls it are the order followers,
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
it. People like your neighbours who are perhaps in the police force or whatever, or paramedics or whatever they may be. They're the order followers. They're the ones that are causing the problem.
It's the go along to get along.
Yeah, and they don't understand that they're only going to get so far before they're in the same boat as I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this AI thing, it's, I don't think people understand the level of job losses that are coming. I don't
Oh,
have any concept of it whatsoever.
Neil, on the Redux that I just posted, I read some of a transcript from a podcast that was done by somebody at the New York Times, and he was talking with a doomsayer, but somebody who has studied artificial intelligence for quite a few years now. And the scenario that he was laying out, he said, I think his original paper was by 2027 the mass layoffs are going to be incredible. And he
Mhm.
said, okay, so I might have missed the mark by a year, but we're talking about this is it's very bleak, but mass unemployment coming up.
Yeah. Well, even you think of like so-called journalists, the whole acting, the Hollywood's gone. It's finished.
Hmm.
I've seen some little video clips of the AIs generated in 5 minutes, and you would never be able to tell the difference. Well,
Hmm.
the only thing you can tell is different is it's perfect. It's too perfect.
Yeah.
But they don't need actors anymore. I mean, if they want to maintain, Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever, they'll use his image and create the AI from that. He's not needed anymore physically. They don't need him to speak the lines, nothing. Uh, Journalists, legal people, publishers, authors, none of them are needed. What, as Yuval Noah Harari said, what we're going to do with all these useless people? Well, they're going to
Hmm.
be useless people. The people that think they're professionals are going to be useless people, and they're exactly the same boat as we are. Although I don't class us as useless people, but you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, I
They won't
do.
need cops anymore either, because the mass surveillance is doing the job for them.
Yeah. And, whatever they need, if they need boots on the ground, that's robotics.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the whole CO2 ID AI.
Yeah.
You know, they tell you, they tell you. I said that to somebody. I said, quote, I mentioned, there's no D in it, right? And they went, what? I says, there's no D in it. Yeah. I says, so what's the D for? I says, what do you mean? I says, well, why is it called code? they, they, they looked at me as if I had two heads. And I said to them, if I walk into a bar, you could do this in Edinburgh or anywhere else. You put your two fingers up with your palm facing the barman. You put your index finger, your middle finger. That means two, right? And he went, yeah. I said, so you got CO2. I said, does that sound familiar? He went, well, yeah, I was talking about that. I says, an ID. But he couldn't get his head around it. And then I says, the first and ninth letters of the alphabet are AI. And End of conversation. That was just in Walmart, so I didn't expect anything else. But I don't know. I don't know how you get through to people.
No, I mean, here is the thing. Okay, so we spent a long time talking about the bodies on display, the corpses on display. And I think, especially in the RBN days, when Alan was getting started and he was talking to people about some of the ancient history and the esoteric, but on RBN, it was a lot of the news of the day. And he'd weave that in there with the historical background and who did what and so forth. But I know one thing that Alan was trying to do is, if you are capable of righteous indignation, now is the time for you to whip it up, because that might spur you on a path of research and understanding. If you can get that righteous indignation going and say, this is not right. This is not right. And when we look at what is going on and what the stakes are right now, and this is a thing that if people think that they've got all of the time in the world to follow along bread and circuses, and okay, so Trump and Musk are doing a table dance, and just grooving out and so forth. And then, oh, a month later, hey, look at them, and what a feud is going on. If you think that you've got all the time in the world to follow that, you're mistaken, because the stakes are incredibly high right now. And we're we're painting a world not to be frightening here, not to freak people out, that's going to be very, very different in a few years' time.
I think it's going to come a lot quicker than people imagine.
Absolutely. And the
And
fallout is
the
going to be
shock.
tremendous.
People
Yes.
will be in shock
Yes.
when they go to Walmart and can't get in there without having a digital ID. That there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
You're going to see attacks on stores, and it's going to be, survival of the fittest, or the survival of the one with the most guns and bullets.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it's
It's crazy.
yeah.
People, people. You hear them talk about when Biden was in, a lunatic, but they can't see anything wrong with Trump. You can't see anything. Although, just this week, Trump has brought in Palantir to do the so-called
Yes.
Golden Dome, the same thing they've done in Israel, with the
Yes.
same technology that Israel's using to target Palestinians using AI.
Yes.
The same system he's bringing in here. And what do they think that's for?
Yeah.
Oh, it's for your safety.
Mm-hmm.
From who?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my own gun. I don't need the AI machine guns on the light posts for my safety. Thanks very much.
No, it's going to be a very, very different world in the blink of an eye.
Well,
So
we've only got 5 years, right? 2030. It's supposed to be done by then.
yes.
We've kind of gone a bit over time, but maybe we could talk about.
Well, there's a couple of things that I wanted to hit. You wanted to mention some local things going on in your area, but I want to simply, again, it's
We
not.
could leave that to next time, because this is quite a
Okay.
big subject, and there might
All
be
right.
more happens between now and then.
All right. Let's do that.
I'll just mention it briefly. What sparked this off, because there's a lot of public outcry about it here. They dug up. They've just repaved the whole of downtown. It's called the Lake Wales Connected Plan, and the Lake Wales Envisioned. It's all smart city UN Agenda 21-2030 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they've ripped out. They put in all this brand new paving. $18 million they spent, and half of it was falling apart. The taxpayer had to pay for the repairs. They didn't get the same company back to sort it. And now they've just dug up all the big, huge palm trees they put in there because they're unsustainable. They want more sustainable trees put in there. Well, at the same time, they're talking about building 40,000 homes around the city, which are all going to be using water. So that's it in a nutshell, but we can talk about more about it later on, because I think they used to have a public meeting. You could I couldn't go to it. It was on Tuesday. I couldn't go. But anyway, they always have a video stream of it, and you can usually go back and watch a video. So not that one. That didn't come up. So I wonder if there's a lot of arguments going on there. That one they didn't want to show people. But I'll see if it comes up. It might come up again by the time we talk again. So we'll see what that's got. I really want to get down there and say something. But the last time I went down there was 2020 or 2019 when the COVID operation started. And I stood up there and said, Tony Fauci should be in prison. And they were all gobsmacked. They go, how can you say that? I said he should be in prison.
I wanted to get to my local council meeting last week, and something came up and I couldn't do it. I felt bad because I had told the ex-councilman who was kind of railroaded out of his job because, he was a bit too honest. I said, I'll see you there. But I couldn't make it. But I did research and find out that I actually need, if there's something that I want to address, or there, which in this case is what kinds of ICLEI, what kinds of local Agenda 21 things are going on in this area, that I have to put it on the, agenda. So I have now.
Just go to your city offices, put in the word smart. That's what, and you get loads of stuff comes up.
Oh, I'll have to try that. But so it was not on the. I could see there was a long list of things that they were going to discuss, and there wasn't anything there that like property taxes or there was nothing that seemed like I needed to weigh in on it or find out about it.
You have to go to the government department, and it gives you their agendas and stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to, meanwhile, between now and next month, I'm going to see what is going on in the area, and then I'm going to see if I can, just make some kind of presentation. I was actually thinking this morning because there is a documentary that the agenda.
Yeah, I watched that.
Did you? Yeah. And so
good.
they had given it was in memory of Rosa Koire and Alan Watt. And I was thinking about Rosa Koire's book, and I thought, I should see if I can find some inexpensive copies of that and just give it as a starting point to the council members.
Yeah, so that they can. It's in my dad's loft as well. But I interviewed Rosa Koire way back in the day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it?
Good. This is the early days of I don't think even Agenda 2030 was getting discussed at that point.
Oh, interesting.
Agenda 21.
Yeah.
But here's our Lake Wales Connected Plan status dashboard, smart sheet. And it's all this stuff, pursuing a management strategy, all this gobbledygook.
I have an update. After I recorded with Neil on early Monday morning, I had an errand to run, and it took me by the City Hall. And I stopped in, and I saw right away there was a sign there that said that the council meeting that I thought I had missed had been rescheduled because they didn't reach a quorum, which is that not enough council people showed up to have a meeting. So I met the secretary of the town, and she was nice and took me back to her office, and I just told her that I was concerned about property rights and eminent domain and Agenda 21 and 2030. She really didn't understand that, but I said I looked at it for years, and I said that I don't, as much as I've researched it, I'm not really an expert on it, but I do have materials that would help the council members and the mayor understand what it's about. And I told her that there was possibly some materials that I could put together. Now, I had looked for Rosa Koire's Behind the Green Mask online, and on both on the website, the Legacy website, and Amazon and so forth. The cheapest copies were $115, so that's not happening for me. But I found a PDF copy on archive.org. And so I told the secretary it was a good, easy-to-read book, and I could present some other materials on a flash drive. And she said Just you don't have to copy it. Just bring it to me, and I'll make the copies and save you the money. And I made a joke. I said, "Hey, there's my tax dollars at work." So anyway, I did this week. I made a copy of the book, and the next time I'm headed in that direction, which will probably be tomorrow or early next week, I will bring that to her and she can make some copies. And then I'm going to look for it, see if I can find, don't want to overwhelm, but maybe one or two really good Alan Watt talks on an overview of what Agenda 21, or now it's more typically called Agenda 2030 or sustainability or the Sustainable Development Goals. Just a good overview of that. And I need 7 packages for the council members and the rotating council members and the mayor. And I can just get some cheapo flash drives and put the talks on that and have a handout. So I'll still have something to report back the next time I talk to Neil, because I'll have gone to the council meeting. So there you go.
So,
Well, I'll be interested to see what I can get, because Lake Whale, where you are, is actually a viable community. It's a pretty big area.
well,
I'm in a tiny town.
it's a very small kind of city centre, if you like. It's mainly rural.
What's your population?
I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's literally CR60 goes right through it, or US 60 or whatever it's called, goes right through it, and it's only, I'd say, from one end to the other, probably 4 miles. And the city's, if you take that as a starting at that point in the middle of the town and do a circumference around it of like maybe 2 miles, 3 miles, that'd be it. Everything else is rural outside that. It's a small place.
Well, area. Well, I'll do some homework on my area
Very
and
easy to
see.
make a 15-minute city of it. Put it that way. Yeah.
I mean, I do, not a disconnect here, but it's like I think going forward into this brave new world that we're entering, this may be what we're left with, is trying to ensure that our own areas are the last to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it does. When I was down there and I spoke at the COVID thing, they had their own people in there in the audience, shouting people down and all this kind of thing. And it was so full that there was a room at the back with a screen on it where Paula and I were, and this loudmouth guy was back there as well, because they left no area uncovered by one of their own. And he was saying, I don't understand what he's saying. And Paula just turned around and says, if you stop running your mouth and open your ears, you might hear what he's saying. So just shut the F up. And people in the room give her a round of applause. And the guy left. So I mean, most people, if they're given the information in a concise, like logical, common sense way, will think. They will start thinking. Because they've actually made the effort to go to those meetings.
Yes.
Because they know something's wrong.
Yeah.
So if you can actually, most people go to these meetings, they'll just think, oh, it's just about construction. The construction company's going to make a killing, blah, blah, blah. They don't understand they're building a prison for them.
Yes.
And that's what they need to understand what it's about.
Yeah. Well, see, this is what I thought, there was a point where, Alan, I should dig this up too somewhere, but Alan wanted to deliver some information on the bail-ins and the crashes and all of that to his local banker. And he had me put together, the kind of what you'd call Bretton Woods banking kind of, and I found 3 really great talks that laid it out, and then I burned them onto discs, and we had a few of those and actually delivered them. to listen to him just sit there and talk to the banker, this is what happened and this is what's coming. And it was pretty concise. And then I had the disc that we could leave behind. Now, she said she was very interested and couldn't wait. But then, the next thing we knew, she had retired. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, on this Lake Wales Connected Plan Status Board Smart Sheet Gov, the next thing says report abuse.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, you're building a prison for us. I don't want to be in shackles.
Yeah. Well, that's really what I need to do. I mean, I was thinking about it between the Aman Jabbi 5 pillars to enslave humanity. Yeah,
well, I didn't watch it. I listened to it in the car, but I
good.
didn't really need to see the slides.
Yeah, it's good. Well, the slides are good, but I think between that and the Rosa Corey book, I've got to put together a presentation that's very concise with some leave behind materials to say, this is what this is about.
Yeah. What I thought about the Aman Jabbi one, I was going to actually think about approaching the city commission because they've got rooms down there and say, can I hire a room to put up to show a documentary or a presentation? And if they say no, I'll say, why not? I say, don't you want? This is about the infrastructure you're putting into Lake Wales, what's behind it, where it comes from.
Yeah.
Maybe people would be interested.
Yeah.
And if they say no, then I'll set up. I've got a big fold-out screen, a projector. I can put one up in the yard.
Yeah.
And say, right, okay, free movie night.
That's a good idea, but I think in the face of it, it is kind of a call to action.
I think you've got to go local because we've no chance of doing anything else outside that.
No.
I mean, we might not have any chance of doing anything with these people either because they're all bought and paid for.
But it's the only place that
it's the public you're talking to. You're not talking to these people.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, listen.
Okay.
Well, I was just going to say
people have gone there because they've got an interest in what's going on.
That's right.
So you've already got one foot in the door.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, carry on. But we'll talk more
well,
about
I was just going to say that we should be talking again the second week of July, and I was just going to issue I was going to throw down a challenge. I know life is busy and you're busy and everything, but the throwdown challenge is see what you can do locally, and I'll see what I can do locally, and we'll report it back next month.
Yeah, that'll be the 10th. Okay.
Yeah, the 10th.
I'm doing a market on Thursday the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll record ahead of time, and that's okay. But I'm gonna do some homework and see what I can achieve here locally.
Yeah, I might go down and ask them if I can. I don't know what. I don't see why they'd have to charge you. We own the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just have a room
supposedly,
please? Yeah, can I have just where I can show a video?
Yeah,
and see what they say. See what they react. Well, obviously they're going to ask what it's about. I'll say it's about Lake Wales Connected.
Yeah.
It's about Lake Wales envisioned.
Yeah.
It's where these ideas come from.
Uh-huh. All right. That sounds good. We've got a plan of action.
Okay. Right. So until next month then.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for doing this. It's a pleasure as always, and
we like to make it fun as we can. As grotesque as it is sometimes.
All right. Thanks so much. And next week. There's a couple of announcements that I want to make on Real History before I stop the recording. And the first is that Nick Hayes and he actually put it out to a poll on Telegram at the book club, CTTM book club. And we are going to cover this is based on poll vote, the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. And this is actually 3 novels that comprise the Space Trilogy. And it's 1938, 1943, 1945. And I'll put up some, all you need to know is the Space Trilogy. You can find it. So if you want to read along with us, that is what we're doing next. And then
you're banning mail-in ballots and dead people voting, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And you can only vote, yeah, you can only vote once. So,
if you're
but yeah,
alive.
we've closed the voting poll, and that's what the voters have decided that we are
Mm.
doing C.S. Lewis, the Space Trilogy. So if you want to get started, the very first one in the trilogy is called Out of the Silent Planet. Out
Oh,
of the Silent Planet.
yeah. I'm about
And
100 pages into Snow Crash, so I've not even caught up with that yet.
oh, okay. All right. Well, hurry up.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that I wanted to mention is that I already recorded the real history that's going up next week. And it's a very lovely, I'll leave it kind of vague, but it's a lovely conversation that I had with a woman who is from Europe, and it's kind of her journey of how she discovered Alan Watt and her day-to-day life and what it's like. And it was a good conversation that we had. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So that was Sigrida. And she said sometimes the Westerners who, or even the other Europeans who don't know how to say her name, call her Siggy. So I'll be talking with her. And that is it. That's all my announcements. And thanks again, Neil.
No problem.
All right. I'm going to end this recording.
I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. And I've got something that the world didn't give me, and the world cannot take it away. Well, it is love, sweet love, oh, sent to me from my Father up above. It is love, sweet love.